Mr. Chairman, I've said this several times with all respect, that what the Constitution says is what should be done. I don't know what more to add, sir. If the Constitution says 2 terms, I don't see how a different interpretation can be put to it. Mr. Chairman, I don't know what, that's what I think, sir.
My Lord, your colleagues who came before you, especially during Kufuor's era, had cause to give a certain interpretation to the Constitution. And just for our purpose, I remember that in looking at the law, they suggested, they made a strong point in their judgment to the effect that once the president is out of the jurisdiction, there must be someone in the jurisdiction to act. And the person must take the judicial oath. Now, it's been long. This ruling or judgment has been in our books for so long a time. It's like what we previously, as lawyers, were adhering to, that when an injunction application is filed, though it has not been determined, once you've been served, you must not do anything to disturb it. And we're going on with this for a long time, till recently in the Koasifwa 3-2 decision, my Lord Kulendi, writing the majority opinion, said no, there must be express order from the courts. That is now the new law without any ambiguity, and says that constitutional bodies must be allowed to do their work and all. The nation has heard you, the court, on this, and we would abide. Now, having given you this sufficient background as to precedent, may I know from you whether, in view of technological impacts on the practice, and you've talked about AI this morning, on repeated occasions, in view of technological impact, having regard to Article 68, would there be a requirement for the Speaker to take presidential oath when acting in the absence of the President and the Vice President?
Mr. Chairman, if the law says he needs to take an oath, he has to take it. If it doesn't say so, then he doesn't take it. Thank you.
But does the law say so? The Constitution says so, that he must take an oath when acting as president. Take the presidential oath. Does the Constitution say so?
Yes.
Lord may guide us with the particular exact provision, please.
If you see, I think it's Article. Well, I can't get it offhand, but Mr. Chairman,
we can look at it. You can take your time and provide that later. But you can furnish us with that later. But my Lord, my question directly related to this is that in an era of instant global communication, does this distinction remain constitutionally necessary? And should, quote, absence from the Republic, unquote, be redefined in your view?
Mr. Chairman, with technology now, absence, it has a different meaning now, because a case came before me as to the meaning of working from home, as to whether during the COVID time, working from home, whether it's from your house or from outside the workplace. I think if the president, this is my opinion, please, if the president should be out of the country, let's say for 1 day, and coming back, yes, the constitution says there should be no vacuum. But if the person if the technology can make you work from outside your office, but well, the law says if you are out of the jurisdiction, fine. But if you are in contact with those who you work with, I don't really think, and the period is that short, maybe 1 day, I don't think there should be this ceremony when you are coming back the following day for somebody to swear an oath, and then the following morning the president or whoever's oath is taken is back.
Is my law departing from the law? Is the law?
The law is the law, but I'm not departing from it. But what I'm saying, this is my personal position. Mr. Chairman, what I'm saying is that let's say the president goes to Nigeria and will come back in the evening. He's not in the country, but that does not necessarily mean that the vice should take an oath to act for him when he's coming back in the evening. I mean,
so, my Lord, so you yourself, you are very dynamic in your views, because you see, earlier, your view of the law, when we were talking about some other provisions, you were like the law is a law, which is true. But again, you have now qualified it, giving it a purposive interpretation to meet the times by saying that, yes, if the person is going out for just 24 hours, would there be the need to have that ceremony of having to take the oath and all? So, therefore, you would agree with me that eliminating the speaker's oath requirement in such circumstance would be prudent, correct?
No, Mr. Chairman, what I said was my opinion. That was my opinion.
You are here to express an opinion.
Yes, may not necessarily be the law. If the law insists that...
My Lord, is your opinion that becomes the law. The Supreme Court is policy decisions.
But it doesn't override the Constitution, sir.
Well, my Lord, we would reserve that debate for another word. But
all right, thank you.
I will come back to you. Let the chairman intervene and we'll go back to it.
Honourable members will listen to my Lord very well. He indicated that the law is a law. The thought-provoking issue that he is stating is that if the president is traveled to Nigeria and will come back the same day or the following day, both the president and the vice president are not there, do we have to do the ceremony by way of swearing in the speaker only for him to return after the swearing in to come and take his position? So these are issues that we can look at. So he still believes that the law is the law.
So, well, Lord, I think the jury is out there to have their own bite, so I will not belabor. Now, there is clarity to me on the issue of, in the absence of the president, the vice president acts. There is also clarity to me on the issue of, in the absence of the vice president, the speaker acts. But what is not clear to me is the earlier position regarding, the earlier position you took regarding the Chief Justice, that in the absence of the speaker, the Chief Justice would have to act and take the presidential oath. Now, my Lord, is this position you took earlier in response to a colleague's question emanating from the Constitution expressly, that in the absence of the speaker, the Chief Justice takes the oath of office as acting president? Is there such express constitutional provision? Or you are just you stating so as a matter of course that there should be no power vacuum, because obviously, like it happened recently, it may happen again, where the president was out, my Excellency, Madam Vice President was on sick leave, and then Mr. Speaker was also out on official assignment, and for 48 hours, there was no head of state, technically, in the jurisdiction.
Mr. Chairman, I was answering a question asked by an honorable member as to the hierarchy. If the law says that for somebody to act as the president of the country, he must take an oath, that person has to take the oath.
My lord, take it easy.
No, I'm fine.
No,
fine.
You step by step.
I'm fine.
I mean, it's a good exercise that we have to embark on. If there's a lacuna in the Constitution, we must recognize it as a nation, and I believe the Constitutional Review Committee is following proceedings here. Now, my first question, and I will take it step by step. Is there an express constitutional provision that require the Chief Justice to take the presidential oath in the absence of the President, the Vice President, and the Speaker of Parliament? Is there an express constitutional provision?
Mr. Chairman, on top of my mind, I can't give any now. But if I'm given the chance, maybe I'll go through and see whether the Oaths Act or, I don't know, says so, or I don't know.
So let's do a little exercise. Granted, there is no such express provision. In your view, as a judge, and my lord, it is your opinion that will add up to other views once you get to the bench. That court is a constitutional court. And if I may recall, I once did a case at the Supreme Court where, after losing the case, one of the panel members passed a comment that here we take policy decisions and look at the broader, affairs of the state. Just to assure me that don't be too heartbroken that you've lost this case. And it was a very sensitive matter that had to do with some freezing and of account and the state utilizing some exhibit account. And later I appreciated the position of the court that if all those monies that had been used by the state as exhibit account were to be said that go for your money, it would have been something else. So that is the background to the point I'm making. Now let's come back to the issue. In the event that the Constitution does not make an express provision for the Chief Justice to act in the absence of the Speaker, the Vice President, the President, who, in your opinion, should act as President?
You mean if the Vice is not in?
Let me take it back.
Yes.
The President is not in the country. The Vice is not in. The Speaker who took the presidential oath has also traveled. Who is the next to take?
Mr. Chairman.
Is there an express provision?
You see, there shouldn't be a lacuna. At every point in time, somebody must head this nation. The three are not in the country. The next person is the Chief Justice. The next person, as we all know, is the Chief Justice. Even if there's no express provision stating that, there shouldn't be a lacuna, there should be a vacuum. And what I was saying, Mr. Chairman, is that if the president is just away, or those who are just away, or one of the three is just away for within a day he will go and come back. There is no need for that exercise because the person is coming back the same day. I don't know. Mr. Chairman, I think...
my Lord, if you look at Article 60, if we run through Article 60, all through to 12, my Lord, I do not see any express provision. I've read, I'm still a student. My reading can never be accurate. I've read 60, the entire 60. There is no express provision for the Chief Justice to act in the absence of the Speaker. And my Lord, I am laboring on this point because recently it happened where Mr. President was out, VIP was not in town, Speaker himself was also out of town on official duties. And so I just want to know from you. You are now going to the bench. What is your view? I hope there's clarity now. Thank you very much.
It's clear. I think there's a lacuna there. So it has to be filled up. There shouldn't be that vacuum. So I think the Supreme Court that has the power to interpret can come out to say that, to make it definite that when those three people are not there, this person takes over. And this is
which person? This person, Mr. Speaker, my Lord, this person.
When the president is not there, the vice takes over.
Yes.
When the vice is not there, is the speaker. And if the speaker is not there, I think there should be some express provision to say that there shouldn't be a vacuum.
So tell me your opinion. In your view,
my opinion,
who should be the next?
My opinion, the next should be the Chief Justice.
Very well.
That is my personal opinion.
I agree. No, Lord, it's fair. Yeah. It's the personal opinions that become the law to guide us. I agree. Thank you very much. My Lord, I want us to deal with emergency powers, emergency succession protocols. Now, constitutional succession framework designed for unprecedented circumstances. In your view, should temporary successors beyond the Vice President have full executive powers? And what constitutional limitations, in your view, should apply? Because they've taken an oath. They've taken the presidential oath.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, yes, they've taken the presidential oath, but I don't think they can exercise all powers in the absence of the president. There must be a limit. For example, if the president should travel, the vice travels, and then the speaker takes an oath to act, and he decides to change ministers, appoint new ministers in the absence, it's not the best. So I think, yes, to avoid a vacuum, yes, somebody must lead, but certain decisions cannot be taken by that person. I think so.
But the person has taken a presidential oath.
Yes.
Now, how would you balance governmental continuity with democratic accountability in extended succession scenarios?
I don't understand, please.
So we've talked about succession. They could be temporal, but we can have situations where the time could prolong. And in your view this afternoon, you have also said that, look, those powers must have limitations. For instance, the person acting should not have the power to fire or even appoint ministers. I've heard you. Now, I'm saying that in view of that, how do you balance this governmental continuity, which is allowing somebody to act, and the requirement of accountability?
Mr. Chairman, the state must run in the absence of those people, as we said earlier. Yes, we have to balance it. The state must not come to a standstill. But then you must know the kind of decisions to take in the absence of the substantive people. That's what I think, sir. The state must run.
My Lord, in your view, what are the specific constitutional amendments you recommend to modernize Ghana's political succession framework?
Can you please clarify the question for me?
Well, I'm rooting it on the earlier foundation that I laid, the temporal succession, who is taking over and all that in the absence of this, that, and you've already expressed some broader views. Okay, so I now would want to hear your views regarding some recommendations, because you've talked about some limitations. I just need you, in view of that, to make certain proposed recommendations by way of constitutional review. Because you agree with me that even the inclusion of the Chief Justice in the succession plan is now coming by way of a purposive approach to governance, that you don't have to leave it vacant, vacuum. There shouldn't be vacuum, but there's no express provision. So share with us what you see as some recommendations to guide this whole process, because it's very critical in view of the experience we've just had.
Mr. Chairman, I think this is for Parliament to do. You have to pass laws as to what should be done in those circumstances. I beg, sir.
My Lord, so you mean we should enact a law to regulate Article 60 further, but we can't enact where...
Or further, maybe when that issue comes before the Supreme Court, through the interpretation, the decision they will give, then they will clarify and give further instructions as to what should be done in those circumstances.
My Lord, you remember Article 1815, the Clomega? The Supreme Court left that bit to Parliament, and it is still hanging, where they said Parliament should enact to regulate 1815. It's in the light of this that I want to ask you whether in such circumstances, in view of the amendment we're looking at, Supreme Court in taking this up would look at it holistically and provide a guide without saying Parliament should do this bit, because this is very constitutional in my view. What do you think?
The duty of the Supreme Court, when it comes to interpretation, is the Supreme Court. So these are very good points you are raising. I think the Supreme Court, when the matter comes before them, will have to sort it out and give the various guidelines as to what should be done in the circumstances, Mr. Chairman. I think it's a gray area. So when it gets to the Supreme Court, then they will define it and give further guidelines as to what should be done. Thank you, sir.
My Lord, the records have it that You've been at the Court of Appeal since 2010, correct? Or more? 2010. Since 2010.
2010.
Okay. And you presided over that committee, that football committee. What's the name of that committee? There was a commission of inquiry or committee.
Mr. Chairman, you know that commission's name. Dzamefe Commission, the commission. It's not a committee, sir. It's a commission.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Lord,